The United States makes the UN work when it wants it to work. And that is exactly the way it should be, because the only question for the United States is what's in our national interest.
My name is John, and the International Criminal Court is back in session. I hope every single one of you had a Merry Christmas, and today is December 27th, 2025. And once more, we are going to look at the situation in Ukraine for the last time this year. So, let's get on to it. First of all, discussing the Zaporizhzhia direction itself, the Russians, according to Syriac maps, have seized all of the commie blocks within the town of Stepnogorsk and are pushing north, not only towards Primorske, or at least more parts of the village that is, but they also seem to be advancing towards the Konka River. The villages of Bisylyanka is one of the targets, alongside the villages of Hryhorivka and Richny. In addition, Russians are also continuing their pushes towards the town of Orikov 2 from the western direction, and also from the south. As far as I know, they are attacking the village of Novoandrivka, which, just like Malotokmachka, is one of the last villages before you enter Orikov. Now, personally, for me, I don't think the Russians are going to bum rush into Orikov just yet, because the group of forces Dnieper are awaiting their brothers and sisters, who had just scored probably one of the Russians' biggest victories of the whole war by far. And that victory was in GULYAYPOLE. GULYAYPOLE, or as many seem to call it, GULYAYPOLE, has fallen to Russia. As of this video, GULYAYPOLE is under Russian control. No catches, no BS, nothing. It's done. After 3 years of trying to capture this strategic town in the southern part of Ukraine, the Russian army has finally captured GULYAYPOLE, the hometown of anarchist Nestor Makhno. Everything, including the town center, the commie blocks, and Makhno statue as well, which is, I think, located here, I think, along with the Central Rada, have all been captured by Russia. And heck, there was even a territorial defense headquarters that was also captured intact too by Russia. So, GULYAYPOLE is going to become a base of operations, a hub for future Russian offensives into not just the Zaporizhzhia region, but also Dnipropetrovsk region as well. And with the capture of GULYAYPOLE, the entire countryside east of Zaporizhzhia city is now fully exposed. The city is fucked next year. It's generally fucked. And to make matters worse for the Ukrainians, the Russians have not only crossed the river in one piece, though obviously not without some issues, that is, so maybe saying they crossed in one piece is a little over-exaggerating, that is, but they did cross it and consolidated their positions in the village of Kasiv Sive, and are about to contest the village of Ternovate as well. And once they're able to capture this, they will then continue to be able to advance westward towards the city of Zaporizhzhia, and also northward towards the towns of Alexandrivka and Pokrovsky, which are both in Dnipropetrovsk. The capture of GULYAYPOLE is huge because now the Russians have a firm road now, like a real road, like a real paved working road into Dnipropetrovsk region for the very first time. It's no joke. They have a road now directly into the region, along with, I think, also with Udachny/Pokrovsk, but I don't think it's fully secured yet. But we can safely say, or we can just safely say now, that they do have a direct line into the Dnipropetrovsk region that's literally for real this time. Like, they'll be able to now enter the region without many issues. Logistics-wise, it is. And also, with the capture of GULYAPOLE, I honestly don't know how long Orikov is going to hold. Because we all know what Vostok is going to do next. They're not going to simply just go through this road here. They're going to just flank it from the north. All these. They're all going to get flanked from the north, and then they'll come raining down south on Orikov, which will then finally allow the group of forces Dnieper to take the town of Orikov. And once Orikov is done, then there's not really much getting in the way of the Russians to Zaporizhzhia City. It's wide open, and the supplies going into Zaporizhzhia City are not very good. You have only like, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like 4 roads in total, excluding bridges that is, that go into the city of Zaporizhzhia. Like Kherson, it is not a place you want to hold for too much longer if you lose the logistics routes. Now, of course, there's still the town or city of Valnyansk, but for the most part, though, all these open fields here are now wide open. A bunch of no-name villages, mostly small places that Vostok and Dnieper group are just going to steamroll. So, going into 2026, the armed forces of Ukraine in this part of the front are in grave danger. They are in big trouble. And as many people said, I wouldn't be surprised if by June or July, maybe August at the latest, that the battle for Zaporizhzhia City starts. And as I also said, it is not good logistics-wise, like Kherson was. So in this case, I wouldn't be surprised if, just like the Russians 3 years ago in November, the Ukrainians decide, for the sake of saving their manpower and equipment, to evacuate across the river and to just hold on to these positions here within western Zaporizhzhia City. And then they leave the majority of Zaporizhzhia to the Russians. The Rada, by the way, is located, I think, somewhere here, I think. It is definitely somewhere here. Oh, wait, I think it's actually here. But yeah, they would be absolutely screwed. And because of that, they would have to evacuate. And everyone knows just how big of a PR blow that would be for Zelensky. If anything, I think the capture of Zaporizhzhia is probably going to result in the armed forces of Ukraine finally capitulating. This will be the capture that will decisively end this war in favor of Russia. It will be Zaporizhzhia. Now, as for the Pokrovsk direction, finally, Syriac has colored both Minograd, aka Dmitriov, and Rodensky completely under Russian control. It is done. The Battle of Pokrovsk is over, ending at the exact same time as the Battle of GULYAPOLE. What a way to end 2025. So with the capture of Minograd and Rodensky, the Russians will now have a pathway towards the city of Dobropila up north, and also they will be able to use this area here as a logistics hub for a deeper push into the strategic Dnipropetrovsk region. Further north, that is. The guys further south are doing like their own thing, but the Russians, if they really want to, next year in 2026, they can push deeper into Dnipropetrovsk as far as like Pavlograd, for instance. As I said, just like with Zaporizhzhia region, this is going to be a huge problem for the Ukrainians because the defenses here are nowhere as good as they were in Donetsk region. Just nowhere as good. Syriac has also firmly painted all of Safivka under Russian control, along with the northern fields of Shakovo. And also in the Konstantinovka direction, things are not really going too well for the Ukrainians here either. the Russians are advancing towards these strategic fortifications here, and also along the Teofil-4 road from Pokrovsk. I believe that the battle for Konstantinovka is going to take at least 3 to 4 months to resolve itself, and then by spring or perhaps the end of Rasputitsa, Konstantinovka will fall. Now, going further up north, Novo Markove is under Russian control for real this time. The group of forces south, or Yug, are on a roll, and have also captured half of Bandarne. In addition, they also seized fields north of Pazino, Fedorivka, and also fields south and north of Sviato-Pokrovsky, and are also contesting for the village of Rizinkivka. And with Siversk out of the way, the Russians are now advancing quite fast towards the Servetsky Donets River. In fact, they've now reached this end of it and are about to capture the village of Zakyntin. And then in the city of Liman, there are geolocations of Russian soldiers in the central part of the city. We don't necessarily know for a certain if these are DRGs or actual Zapad group troops that are consolidating their positions here, but one thing is for sure, the Russians are definitely in Liman, and it's definitely going to be one of the early big battles of 2026. I'm sure they wanted to capture it this year, but Zapad, as you guys know, are having a difficult time right now trying to get their act together in Kupiansk, and because of that, they're not really able to do much at this time in Liman. And then going further up north, in the city of Kupiansk itself, there's some big confusion regarding control over the basically who controls Kupiansk itself, and apparently the Russians are claiming that they're still here, and it's why Syriac has decided to paint this area in a gray zone. So neither the Russians or the Ukrainians control basically the central zone of Kupiansk. And there's even some rumors that the Ukrainians don't control as much of Kupiansk as they want you to believe. And also Syriac has also decided to paint a lot of this back too into a gray zone. And because of that, we have absolutely no fucking idea what's going on here. So yeah, it's going to be one of the big early battles of 2026 alongside Liman and Konstantinovka. But it's such a headache to watch because nothing from this area here makes sense. It's sort of like Dobrapila and Toretsk all over again. Just absolute confusion. And then going into the Volchansk direction, the Russians have closed out the battles for Liman, Vilcha, Volchansk, and also Prylivka. And I think as of right now, they're also trying to clear out these areas that are adjacent to the Servetsky Donets River. But I mean, I don't really know what North Group is going to do now that they got all of this under their control. Perhaps maybe they'll head towards Billy Kolodiaz or maybe advance along the Servetsky Donets River. We just got to wait and see what happens. But I'm expecting North Group to make another big push this winter before the Rasputitsa shows up because of the fact that, I mean, like, the window of opportunity is now wide open for them in Kharkov region. If they really wanted to, they can take more parts of Kharkov and cause more issues for the Ukrainians, not only PR-wise, but also logistics-wide as well. Because if they continue to advance here, and also in the Sumy region, which I'll get to in a moment, then the guys in Kupiansk are not only going to have to withdraw, but they're also going to have to relocate to the northern Kharkov direction, which is going to be a huge headache for President Zelensky and Syrskyi. Because of that, they won't be able to hold on to Kupiansk and also this eastern Oskol pocket here. So yeah, it's going to suck for them, especially with the news in Sumy. And one last thing before I get going. This is the Sumy front, which mostly hasn't changed since summer, but the Russians have already started counterattacking and retaking the positions that they lost back in, like, I guess, like, the second half of summer or early fall of 2025. They have not only recaptured Konstantinovka, but they have also advanced to the northern outskirts of Kendratovka, and are also right now contesting for the village of Andriivka. My God, there's like 1 million Andriivkas here in Ukraine. And it looks like a good half of the village is under Russian control, while another half is in a gray zone. And because of that, yeah, the Ukrainians are, again, in big trouble here. Because if the Russians are able to retake all this, then they're definitely going to try again in taking the town of Khotin, which will put them within FPV drone range away from attacking the city of Sumy, which is protected by forest that are like north of it. But yeah, I think their goal is to get adjacent of these forested areas here, so then that they could attack Sumy, and then after that, they'll continue their advances here as well, towards the town of Krasnopelia. And that's going to do it for this update, folks. I hope many of you found it informative, enjoyable, etc. It doesn't matter. So, I hope every single one of you liked this video. And please comment below what you think of the recent updates that have been taking place in Ukraine. And I'll see you all in 2026. So take good care of yourselves and peace out. Bye-bye.